and craft. And I think with what you see here, what we're doing, this is homesteading. The idea is to live your dream the way that you want to live it. Don't worry what people call it. Worry about what you're doing.
There you go.
Okay, I'm going to go talk. I'll stand right there.
Sorry, I was distracted by my canning in the back. It was counting down the 10 minutes of pressure from the original. So, where's Wendy? Okay, Wendy, has yours come to pressure yet?
It's starting to right now. It's now starting to steam. And once the steam builds up, minutes and let it exchange the air for steam inside.
Okay, so and what she's doing with hers isn't at mine. Now mine is already counting down that 10 minutes, and so mine is already down 8 4 7. So I want to make sure. I am. This is homesteading. Okay, main idea of homesteading for us is homesteading. You don't have to live on a lot of land or whatever. You can be an apartment setter. You can call it a term, really. Homesteading is just a term. And you can really, the idea of all of it is home-based. In my head, it's really doing actual house and what you're providing for yourself and your family. So we just want to say home-based is huge. Okay, 2 questions you want to ask yourself when you start homesteading, or even if you're in the midst of homesteading and you're starting to look what you're doing. First question is, why? Why are you wanting to do this? Why are you doing this? If you know your why, if you know what your reasons behind what you're doing, if you know what those reasons are, it's going to make it a lot easier for you to actually start or figure out what you're doing to make sure it's actually working for you. Because a lot of times we get super excited, and I see you out there. We get super excited and we jump in and get all the animals and all the plants and all the things, and then things happen that aren't so great. So we could do health reasons, and maybe you want to make some money. Maybe you just like to trade through your garden and give your mental health. Or maybe because you want to provide yourself and your family a better life. We had 7 kids when we moved here from Maryland, and I will tell you 100% God moved us here. With that, we saw immediately we wanted a better lifestyle for our children, because living in a townhome close to the sea was not what we wanted. And I could have not come here any sooner. I mean, it was great. Question second number there.
Second question is, what are your goals? Sometimes it takes a little bit of research to figure out what your goals are, but that's super, super important. Anybody that ever starts a business never goes into it without a goal. If you go to something without some sort of end goal that you're looking at, then you're just shooting everywhere. It goes back to what she said with the first question, which is why. If you don't know your why, and you don't know what you're looking to do, then you just start throwing things against the wall to see what sticks. And before you know it, you wind up with, as she said, lots of animals, lots of garden.
A horse that you don't know how to take care of. Don't ask me how to do that.
The horse was neat. Anyway, so more importantly, understand what your goal is and what is the big picture. Sit down and figure out what that looks like. What does your end goal look like? If your end goal looks like you want to be able to preserve food like this, then put yourself in a position like this, or find people you can work with. Don't get ahead of myself, to where you can learn how to do that. And if you want to grow all these vegetables and fruits, then do your research, find people you can work with, and get to that point. So understand what goals are.
Now, first things first, you need to consider what you have and the size of it and the local ordinances. It'd be great if you get on a piece of property and you're like, yes, 20 acres, I'm gonna throw everything on there, this is awesome, X, Y, and Z. And then maybe you buy 10 acres because you live far away, and you get there and you realize, oh my gosh, I can't have pigs, but I really want pigs. Because there's deed restrictions on your property. That happens. You need to know what you're getting when you get it and know what you can do with it. Because those things are really real. We moved here with no restrictions, no knowledge of anything. We got here and we found out that our property, or 10 acres of this amazing land that we were going to throw all the animals we wanted onto, they had deed restrictions that we couldn't have pigs. That was a heartbreaker. This is that people move the deed restrictions on that things.
A lot of the things that we encounter when we try to help people in the process of growing animals, as Jake said earlier, we had our own cows and things like that. A lot of times people look at, especially if they live in a urban or suburban type of atmosphere, when they move out into the middle of nowhere, even if it's, let's say, 5 acres, maybe a big piece of property for somebody who's coming out of the city type atmosphere, and the first thing they think is, I'm getting cows and I'm going to put them out there. But most of the time, if you go to your agricultural department of where you live, you can ask them what the recommended acreage is per single cow. Where I live, they recommend 2 acres for one full-grown cow. So 10 acres goes from looking really big to now coming to be really small. That's why we need 1,000 acres. Okay, money's holding me up.
Okay, I'm queen of starting small. Yeah. So one of the things I always tell my friends and people that I talk to about this is small. You definitely want to just not go overboard, because when you go and get all the things and try to do everything with your excitement and your energy, and you really do have great intentions. Look, I know because I've been there, you go grab all the things, and when you do, you can burn out so quickly. Because here you are, and you've got cattle, and you've got chicken, and you've got, I was talking to Cindy, you've got bees, and you've got this, and you've got this, and then you find that you don't have the time or the energy to do all of it. And I have 8 children, 7 of which live at home, and I do not have the time to do all of it, even with my children's health. So we really you need to start small. Focus on what, your why, and your what. Focus on those things, and starting small just makes sense. Baby steps. Little people get up and just run. They get up, they take the small steps, and they learn. They get up and get back and do all those things. But small steps, great place to start. Start small.
I want to say real quick to this point here, specifically about being burnt out. If you want to continue to homestead or live off the land and grow your own food, if you get to the point where it becomes overwhelming, scale back. Because the moment that it is overwhelming, then what you find yourself doing is wanting to quit. And you've given up everything, all the dreams that you've had. And remember that when you're trying to get to your dreams, it's never easy, right? You've got to fight for what you want. And there's going to be ups and downs. But every time that you're down, make sure you're taking into consideration what it is that your goals are, so that how you're going to get there. So that you don't get to this point where you're burnt and want to just throw the towel.
This is my favorite part. You gonna talk about it?
No.
Good. Okay, so the best part about this too is once you start small, if you find yourself a mentor, you're gonna see amazing things that happen. And it's not like you're actually like putting out an ad in Facebook, looking for a mentor for goats, although that probably will work, just saying. But experience is truly your best teacher. When we moved here and we didn't know anything about cattle, we found a neighbor that had some cattle, and we were like, hi, have cattle. Yeah. And then we found them, and they were amazing, and then they started talking to us about the things that we didn't know, the things that we weren't YouTubing or the things that we couldn't read in a book. They had the knowledge. I'll never forget the day our mentor, which I call mentor, I don't think he even realized he's our mentor because we kind of just latched onto him like a parasite, probably a good parasite, maybe. Right? But we really did latch onto him and his life, and they were amazing. And he said to me, "Just remember, every animal on your property is on the payroll." And I was like, that just blew my mind. And that's not something I would have read in a book. That's not something that I would have seen or heard anywhere, except our YouTube channel, as we say that now. But everything, every animal, everything on your property is on the payroll. So everything serves. And that was huge for us. These are experience. This is experience that teaches you, and these are the things that will stick with you. So find yourself a mentor or a group of people that can mentor you in certain areas, because they are invaluable. I can't tell you, they're amazing. It's amazing to have these mentors. So find a mentor.
Remember that the mentor is somebody who's going to come alongside of you, like this picture. They're going to encourage and they're going to help. They're not the people that are going to tear you down and tell you you've lost your mind. So, some to consider when you're looking to do your homestead, and we kind of talked about a little bit with the cow, is looking at the animals that you want to have. Remember, you want your goals set before you move. If you don't have goals set, you don't know what that big picture looks like, then maybe take a little bit longer to figure out what exactly you want to do. Going back to the animal thing, when you are, if you're in a place where you can have cows or pigs or whatever it may be, chickens, roosters, just depends on where you live. But when you start picking those animals out, you need to start looking at what it's going to take to take care of them. Is there someone that's local that can help you? Is there someone, a vet that can treat them? Because I'll be honest with you, where I live, there's a couple of vets that will deal with stuff, but it's not as many as you can find that are treating domesticated dogs and cats.
And they don't hold longhorns, because we've had longhorns and they all treat longhorns. So if you have a specific type of animal that you're raising on your farm, homestead, land, property, whatever, make sure you know where and how you can treat it if it needs treatment.
And the other piece about that is on your animals, understanding how. We had a pig one time with about 250 pounds. He had problems with his hip. I didn't know what to do with him. But I didn't know what to do with him because, when I took him to the vet, thankfully this pig was a show pig, so he let the vet get close to him, but they still had to kind of like lay him and then try to jab him what they needed to do. So the animals and how we're going to take care of them is super important. Make sure you do your research to understand what kind of animal you did. Anybody in particular that I may or may not have had in here, but micro pigs aren't a real thing. Just FYI, they will get big at that. Okay? So also when you deal with animals, understand the predators that they're going to deal with. And when you have a big piece of land, you better make sure that you take care of them cats as they drop out. Because coyotes will come get them if you aren't taking care of them. Okay? Same thing with pigs, although most of them take care of themselves. But fencing. Fencing is a huge thing. A lot of times people look at the acreage that they get and they say, I'm going to have cows. So they go out and they get 3 females and go out and get themselves a bull. Well, for those who don't know, cows' gestational period is 9 months. Outside of that 9 months, the bull is working. So for anybody that's quick on math, that's 3 months of work that he's got. Once he gets them girls pregnant, he's out looking for something else to get pregnant. So if you don't have good fences, you put a bull back there. Also, they don't recommend a bull.
Right now, our bull, one of our 2 bulls, is next door with even neighbors, just FYI. So good fences make really good neighbors. However, sometimes you have nice neighbors that'll accept your bull, whether you want it or not. I wanted to speak to the predators in the area real quick too, because with the fencing. So you can think you have everything done, but just remember the predators are going to be smarter than you because they're hungrier than you do. You get 3 square meals a day, or maybe 1 meal, and you do that. And the thing is that predators get a chance at your animals every night or every morning. I never thought that owl would be one of the predators I worry about, but right away in the morning, if I let my chickens out before 6 a.m. or 7 a.m., if I open that door up by 6 or 7 in the morning, the owls are very happy. So I make sure I let my chickens and ducks out 8 or 9 o'clock because I know that they're a little bit more safe. So just keep in mind what your area looks like because the predators will find their way to you. And in the same note, cycle of life, just remember when you start a homestead and you have animals, you will inevitably witness the cycle of life, meaning you will have animals die. And you're not going to have any reason, you have no idea why they're dying, they're just going to die. And it's going to break your heart sometimes, and you're just going to be like, what could I have done? Literally, I'm just here to tell you, there is nothing you could have done. There's going to be times where you're going to lose animals, and there's nothing you could have done. And if somebody does ever say that to you, just remember that. Because there's going to be people who are like, well, you should have done this. Well, sometimes you just can't help it. You live, you learn, you do. Fencing also is really important to know your animal because if you have pigs, they will break through a lot of fences. So pigs are big, they break down through anywhere they go. I will always recommend hot wire, so if you want to talk to us about that, let me know.
And about the fencing piece, if you guys do this. I didn't, this is one of those self-taught moments. You know, they have cattle panels, and then they have hog panels. Okay, there's a reason why.
Don't use
I'm not a best one.
cattle panels for holes. Those piglets will run through those holes. You've already basically learned this one. Basic preservation of your animals, of your food, of any of your stuff you grow. If you are growing meat, you are growing garden veggies, anything you're growing, fruit, anything. Make sure you take time to know how to preserve it. This is a huge skill, and it is so waste if you have animals or vegetables or fruit and you just have no idea what to do. Don't lose what you grow. No matter what it is, don't lose what you grow. It's worth that time.
And I want to say something too about the preservation piece, because as Monica was saying about the mentoring thing, the mentor doesn't necessarily have to be like in your close proximity. But one of the coolest things that we learned through YouTube is we're part of the Homesteading community. It's how we met Jake. He actually reached out to us simply because our work is the state of Texas. So he, you know, he had to know who we were, where we lived, what we did. So that's how we met him. But through him, we've learned so much just to like bounce things off of him. And when you make those relationships with smaller YouTube channels, a lot of times we ask questions in those comments and stuff. Smaller channels will take time to answer you. You will learn a lot from folks like that.
Jake still answers my questions, so he's not that big yet. He's growing fast. So. Making sure, like Eric said, make the community. You're really going to build that community around you. Take time to consider joining groups. Make sure, even social media, you know, my mother-in-law like, I don't do Instagram, I don't do social media because it's all bad.
That's not much.
No. She lives on our property, this is allowed. Anyway, she likes all social media. She does Instagram, we like reward her there, and she does watch our YouTube channel. I will give her that. But social media is not all bad. Find your community and really build that community around you, because when I have questions, you gotta believe I'm emailing or reaching out to Carmen on Instagram, like, hey girl, I need to know something. And it's nice to have that community. Facebook is great for these homesteading groups that are more local to your area. There's some really great local Facebook groups, and you can find stuff like this. And you definitely reach out to people when you have problems. And sometimes, even when your vet's not available, you can find a friend that might know about it on the Facebook or Instagram or whatever. So, yeah, those are community.
Thank you. She said I could talk about failure. Yeah, take into consideration, as we said, that it's not always easy. You know, one of the biggest things that we try to teach people when we're helping them set up their homestead is bullet point number 1, which is be flexible. If you're coming into this, you know, we talk about having your goals and dreams set up, which is super important, but you have to always be ready and willing to pivot from that point in case something is not working. You can do all the research you want to do. You can come up with a whole list of things that you will or won't do. And then you try it and you realize, I hate this, I don't want anything to do with this, I'm not doing it anymore. And I'll give a good example. You know, when we first were looking to move down here, we talked about the goats. The more
They're so cute. Goats are
that's
so
about
cute. Jake has goats.
And that's good. Jake can have goats, but this is where you have to learn how to be flexible, because what we learned very quickly is that goats take a lot of time. We don't have a lot of time. So that was named very quickly in our process. So all those goals and stuff, but be flexible. Make sure that you're always flexible. And then what we do was know that failure will happen. Failure is what's going to teach you the most of what you're trying to do. If you don't take that first step and try, you will never be able to fail. And if you don't fail, you will never ever learn what you're trying to learn. You go to any kind of group like this, you can watch somebody process animals, watch them doing their camp. You can watch all that stuff. But until you take the first step, you're not going to really know.
So I'm going to finish the last two. Take time to do your research, like he said, but Anne's going to come up here and give a demonstration on incubating eggs. And it was a couple years ago. I'm a kid, so I went and got myself an incubator. I was like, Eric, this is science, incubation. And so I really like doing it. And I loved it, and I first started it, and one of the coolest things was watching those babies hatch. It was the most amazing experience, but inevitably you will have loss, like I said, and you don't always have a 100% hatch rate. And at first I was beating myself up, and I was super mad about it. I'm like, they're not hatching, and this is awful, and I did all the research. Take time to do your research, but things happen, and if you don't get yourself in the game, you're never gonna know whether it works or not. And now I'm like, incubating master. No. I can just do it really. I just do it a lot. Okay, I incubate a lot of eggs. So if you're gonna incubate eggs, let me know. If you're too far away from taking in. All right.
You want to do negative stuff?
Yes. Final thoughts? Don't overthink things and don't be reckless. I'm a perpetual overthinker. I will overthink everything. I will leave here, sit down, and then think, oh my gosh, that was so stupid. What did I do? I will overthink things. Don't overthink things. Sometimes it's okay to jump in. Don't think and don't be reckless. When you're reckless, you get all the things and all the animals that things can happen. That's the best.
So do be ready to jump in, like Monica said. You never want to know unless you take that first step. And then do be intentional. Be intentional about what you're doing. If you have that game plan together, be intentional about going and making it happen. When obstacles come up, push through it, go over, under, whatever you got to do. Because in the end, those obstacles are what's between you and the dream that you're trying to live.
Okay, so we're going to go out really quick for the girls. Can I have some draw numbers? We're going to do 3 things. So I know we don't have any like fan stuff up here, but we actually have our shirts, which are pretty cool because they say, let's go branding. I think that's pretty genius. Anyway, so I may have designed it. Anyway, we're going to give away 2 shirts. They can actually say let's go branding, or they can just be our regular shirts. It's not this shirt, this is from Eric's Laundry, so you can't have this one. But yeah, don't worry, it's good. Or you can have the one that's the back. So you can pick up one of these 2 shirts on our website, and we're going to give away 2 of these shirts. And then our third raffle winner is when instead of the knives that I use, and you're going to give me your information. I'm going to ship it right to your house for me. Because that's our goal. All right. Where's the girls? Can they come pull one for me? Anybody? Nellie? Hey, somebody want to come pull a ticket for me? House Nellie, you want to come pull 3 tickets? Oh, there's one of the girls. Somebody come pull 1 ticket for you, 1 ticket, pull 3 tickets for me. Here, yeah, Nellie, ticket for me, Nellie. All right. All right. 775. 775. You get to pick one of your shirts. Ah, there you go, Nathan. Wait, it's not 775? Okay, not 775. 775. Anybody? Anybody? All right, pick another one. Pick one else and say. This is 797. 797. There you go. All right. So you're gonna take our card, and you can email me or text me, or just say, I want one of your shirts. And I'm gonna send you where you can go order. You can actually go online, take a little screenshot of what you want, send it back to me, and I'm gonna order for you. Okay. And then the next one, use the numbers. What do we got, girls? 822. 822. 822. All right. And then the last one. Okay. Me or email me your information. I'll send it. There you go. You can pick out your shirt and then send it right to you. Thank you. Because homesteaders need to work clothes.
Seven, 762.
7. There you go. Okay. Where's mine? Oh, you text me that you won the knives. Wendy won the knives.
Oh, it's Wendy? Woo-hoo!
She was talking about how she
She doesn't even know.
Wendy won the knives.
Wendy.
Okay, I'll make sure she gets the knives. Thank you guys so much for paying attention to us. Hopefully you guys learned something.
Oh, thank you.
Carmen's next.
Yeah, next we have Carmen, Jesus loving homesteader, talking to us about herbs. We're gonna take a 5-minute break, and I'm gonna switch lives here to, I try to do 1 per session, and I'm actually gonna change location as well. Try to get a better view on the stage. I'm gonna try to go all the way up there and stream it from there. As you can see, it's quite a nice crowd here. We still have the food from lunch, leftovers. Some kids are playing outside, but yeah, it's a nice little crowd. Thank you all for coming in. Keith, Bug Out Adventure, Tammy. Yeah, I don't say too much. I see you all coming in, but I'm letting the speakers speak and you can listen. Hey, Carmen. All right, I'm going to live and start the next broadcast in about 2-3 minutes.